Did that in that 1 month, we both struggled to live as normal a life as possible. Her reasons were simple. Her son had his exams in a month's time, and she didn't want to disrupt him with our broken marriage. This was agreeable to me, but she had something more. She asked me to recall how I had carried her into our bridal room on our wedding day. She requested that every day, for the month's duration, I carry her out of the bedroom to the front door every morning. I thought she was going crazy. Just to make our last days together bearable, I accepted her odd request. I told Jane about my wife's divorce conditions. She laughed loudly and thought it was absurd. No matter what Rexia flies, she has refaced the divorce, she said scornfully. My wife and I hadn't had any body contact since my divorce intention was explicitly expressed. So when I carried her out on the first day, we both appeared clumsy. Our son clapped behind us. Daddy is holding Mummy in his arms. His words brought me a sense of pain. From the bedroom to the sitting room, then to the door, I walked over 10 meters with her in my arms. She closed her eyes and said softly, "Don't tell our son about the divorce." I nodded, feeling somewhat upset. I put her down outside the door. She went to wait for the bus to walk. I drove alone to the office. On the second day, Both of us acted much more easily. She leaned on my chest. I could smell the fragrance of her blouse. I realized that I hadn't looked at this woman carefully for a long time. I realized she was not young anymore. There were fine wrinkles on her face. Her hair was graying. Our marriage had taken its toll on her. For a minute, I wondered what I had done to her. On the first day, when I lifted her up, I felt a sense of intimacy returning. This was the woman who had given 10 years of her life to me. On the 5th and 6th day, I realized that our sense of intimacy was growing again. I didn't tell Jane about this. It became easier to carry her as the months slipped by. Perhaps the everyday workout made me stronger. She was choosing what to wear one morning. She tried on quite a few dresses but could not find a suitable one. Then she sighed, "All my dresses have grown bigger." I suddenly realized that she had grown so thin. That was the reason why I could carry her more easily. Suddenly it hit me. She had buried so much pain and bitterness in her heart. Subconsciously, I reached out and touched her head. Our son came in at the moment and said, "Dad, it's the time to carry the mom out." To him, seeing his father carrying his mother out had become one essential part of his life. My wife gestured to our son to come closer and hugged him tightly. I turned my face away because I was afraid I might change my mind at this last minute. I then held her in my arms, walking from the bedroom through the sitting room to the hallway. Her hands surrounded my neck softly and naturally. I held her body tightly. It was just like our wedding day. But her much lighter weight made me sad. On the last day, when I held her in my arms, I could hardly move a step. Our son had gone to school. I held her tightly and said I hadn't noticed that our life lacked intimacy. I drove to office, jumped out of the car swiftly without locking the door. I was afraid any delay would make me change my mind. I walked upstairs. Jane opened the door and I said to her, "Sorry, Jane, I do not want a divorce anymore." She looked at me, astonished, and then touched my forehead. "Do you have a fever?" she said. I moved her hand off my head. "Sorry, Jane," I said. "I won't divorce." My marriage life was boring, probably because just she and I didn't value the details of our lives, not because we didn't love each other anymore. Now I realized that since I carried her into my home on our wedding day, I'm supposed to hold her until the death do us apart. Jane seemed to be suddenly wake up. She gave me a loud sleep and then slammed the door and burst into tears. I walked downstairs and drove away. At the floral shop on the way, I ordered a bouquet of flowers for my wife. The sales girl asked me what to write on the card. I smiled and wrote, "I'll carry you out every morning until death do us apart." That evening, I arrived home, flowers in my hands, a smile on my face. I ran upstairs, only to find my wife in the bed, dead. My wife had been fighting cancer for months, and I was so busy with Jane to even notice. She knew that she would die soon, and she wanted to save me from the whatever negative reactions from our son, in case we push through with the divorce. At least, in the eyes of our son, I am a loving husband. The small details of our lives are what really matters in the relationship. It is not the mansion, the car, the property, the money in the bank. These create an environment conducive for the happiness, but cannot give happiness in themselves. So, find time to be your spouse's friend and do those little things for each other that build intimacy. If you are not in a relationship now, remember this for the second or third time around. It's never too late. If you don't share this, nothing will happen to you. If you do, you just might save a marriage. Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Thanks for watching. It's I for Inspiration.